Alright, you guys, welcome back to the channel. I just finished up my tournament here on Lake Anna, just posted the video from that, and I kind of want to go down just a quick little breakdown, try to keep this short and simple, of how I practice and what I was looking for in the tournament. This time of the year, everything was basically pre-spawn, post-spawn, and there were spawners. The majority of the fish I don't think had spawned yet. A lot of the big fish I caught, they were all pre-spawn. I did see some fry garters and everything like that. But when I first put in, I knew I kind of wanted to focus up the lake a little bit. I wanted to go down lake because it was going to be clear, and I knew if I was going to be able to find fish on beds, that would be probably the easiest place. But when I did go down there, it was just still too early. I wasn't seeing a lot of fish shallow. I was seeing more fish and getting more bites shallow up here up the lake. And it was just, it's a little more stained water, so those fish are a little easier to get to bite baits. When you start getting down in this clear water, for me at least, it was difficult to get bites. And I ran back in all these creek arms, and I just wasn't seeing any fish shallow. So I ran back up lake and focused around up here, and I was just looking for places fish would pull up quick. In the spawn, I'm looking for areas that have the channel swing, that basically touch up against points like something like this, something right here, as well as another area we fished that was pretty decent where I saw an 8-pounder back in here where this channel swing comes and touches up against all these points. A lot of people when they go fishing, they're going back in these long coves or these big creek arms looking for fish on beds. Like you get big creek arms down here. I did catch a 6-pounder back in here, saw some beds. I just knew it would get a lot of heavy fishing pressure. But again, when you was looking for this channel swings, I mean, areas like these little pockets, a lot of these little pockets go unnoticed by most fishermen. And these big bass, they will pull up they would rather pull up in areas like this most of the time than I do see them pull up in those big creek arms. It seems like you get bigger fish that pull up in these little pockets, little protected coves, little areas like this. It just seems to get bigger fish, and also it just seems to get a lot less fishing pressure than pulling back in say, a big creek arm like this. I feel like a lot of people would come back in here and try to fish around back in big creek arms like this. So I tried to stay away from that. And like I said, I wasn't seeing a lot. With it being early, I just feel that these channel swings where they touch up against these little coves, these pockets, these creeks, I think this is where they pull up first, just because it's a shorter distance. So they're basically already there, and all they have to do is swim, a few hundred yards, and they're in a place where they can spawn. And another thing that I was looking for, a lot of it too, this lake, it's got a lot of seawalls, a lot of riprap, a lot of hard structure, but it's only around those man-made areas, or those developed areas, I should say. I was not really, I ran some of this natural bank over here on this side around, I guess, like you can say by like the state park and stuff, basically where it was just a bunch of woods, not a lot of docks or anything. And so I wasn't really seeing a lot. I did see about a 3-pounder getting ready to, let me exit that, spawn back in here. And but it seemed like all these little creeks and coves, like back in here, um, this little area, I focused a lot on these type of things by the bridges, just because I don't feel like they'll get hit a lot. I know the riprap will, but I don't feel like these pockets will get hit too hard. And I caught about a 4.5-pounder here and a couple bass off that riprap. But those were the types of things I was looking for. Coves like this, short, long, nothing like huge and big, like these little areas. I mean, they were getting fishing pressure. Some of them I tried to pull into, and I'd have to turn around because there'd be boats in them. But again, I saw 4.5-pounder, or I caught a 4.5-pounder back in here off the marina. Saw a bunch of fish later in the day just sitting up sunning underneath of these docks. Some big bass cruising under these docks through the grass, trying to get back in here to spawn. So if you're going to be heading out there, I would say try to get out there here in the next week, especially before you start getting too much crazy boat traffic out there. It's starting to happen already. So, I mean, a lot of people like fishing this lake, but once summer comes, a lot of people will try to stay off the lake because there's just so much boat traffic and heavy boat traffic. But again, in the tournament we did fish, like I said, we fished back in this area here, and we had a little pre-spawn spot here that we had, I mean, I knew there was pre-spawn activity going on, obviously, because there weren't a ton of beds, but there were fish pulling up by the day. And we found a school of probably 20 or 30 fish that I saw on the active target, and we did catch a striper and lose 2 fish. Not sure what they were, but I could tell that there was a mixture of bass and striper. They do definitely run together on this lake, and we were able to get some. Like I said, we got 2 bites or lost 2 fish, and then caught a striper. And I think the 2 we lost were bass. The one we caught was the striper, but I know they run together. And as quickly as that happened, it faded. I did catch one off this point here on a crankbait that helped us in the tournament. We ended up with 14.16 pounds and finished 5th place. But again, focusing on these little channel swings, trying to figure out where there's not going to be a lot of heavy pressure, especially in a tournament. If you're going out fun fishing, all these creeks are going to have basically fish in them. But again, if you're looking for those off the wall places, little spots like this, like I said, for me, I feel like they get less pressure, and also I feel those bigger bass do pull up, because like I said, I saw an 8-pounder swimming back here that I believe was garden fry, might have already been spawned out. And then back in this creek arm here, I did see about 4 beds or so. That's where I did catch my 6-pounder on a she wasn't on a bed, she was off a bed. I saw the bed, and she was sitting off about 7-8 feet away from the male, just sitting off where you could barely see the bottom. It was maybe 5 feet deep, and I just had to make a blind cast over there from about 50 feet away and was able to catch her. But again, if you're going to be coming out here, these little pre-spawn areas, look for good channel swings and good areas like this, because they'll pull up here to stage, pull up in here and stage, and their next stop's going to be heading back into these creek arms and just getting ready to spawn. And again, trying to stay away from that pressure. Don't be afraid to check these little cuts, these little guts, these little areas right here just off the main lake, especially if you can find one like this area right here. But I think this is Anna Point, so back and behind there would be a good area. Again, these little cuts like this would be great areas. These are just, areas that get overlooked, because, a lot of people, they want to be able to pull into a spot, drop the trolling motor and go. So they're going to pull into these bigger creek arms like this, where they can just drop a trolling motor and just start fishing around, instead of, because when you're fishing this style, fishing these little cuts, you're dropping your trolling motor, you're cruising around in there, making a few casts, keeping your eyes open, and then you're pulling up the trolling motor and leaving, heading to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, and to the next one. But again, focus on those channel swings, those good areas that have good pre-spawn locations, little staging areas for the fish, because that's where they're going to, most likely, you're going to get your biggest concentration, and that's where they're going to start to move up. So, I mean, like, here's a staging area here, they'll pull up in here, little staging area here, they'll start making their way back in here, and that's what I was looking for. Areas that we're not going to get a lot of pressure, that had man-made structure, because it seemed like these natural banks and this natural stuff over here, it was just too soft, too much silt, too much leaf debris, things like that, not really developed areas. And I felt like it would just be harder for fish to get back up in there and spawn. It seemed like those developed areas that had man-made structure with rock, boat ramps, docks, seawalls, a lot of hard structure and grass for them to be able to spawn on. That was the ticket for me. That's what I feel those bass were looking for. So again, if you're looking for areas, look for these channel swings, these little cuts, little pockets that's got some man-made structure and hard structure, and you will catch some fish and you will find some bass back in there. So again, you guys, hope you liked the video. I appreciate the support and you guys subscribing to the channel. We're getting ready to have the Bassmaster Open here on the James River. I'm excited, a little bit stressed. It's my home body of water, and I want to have a good performance. I'd love to win, but hopefully I can get some good content from here in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be having a lot of practice. I'm going to go out there here at the end of this week and then practice all next week and get ready for the tournament. So stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated with how that is going. And go ahead, if you like this video, guys, please hit the like and subscribe. Show your support. I love it. And you guys take care. I'll talk to you guys later.